Well, hello everyone. If you're watching live, amazing. Glad to see you or glad to be with you or yeah, good to be with you. So I'm going to jump right in here. I want to show you a concept I call using static voicings. And as a keyboard player, one of the things that you hear a lot on modern recordings these days, let me turn my YouTube off. There we go. Good. So now you're not hearing that, I hope. Yeah, static voicings describe the fact that in your right hand on your keyboard, you can keep a single, the same pitch through the whole chord progression of a section, the whole verse or chorus of a song, maybe just a phrase of a song, but it's a really common device used by keyboard players on modern recordings. So let me show you some of the details of what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to be playing a worship song that's in the key of C, and I'm putting the middle C on top. I'll be playing a C major chord, an A minor 7 at times, a G add 4 at times, and sometimes an F chord. And I'm going to be using this, a friend of mine has recorded some vocals for me for the song we're going to use, and you'll hear this. You'll hear this, and I'll get rid of my name. Yeah, so I'll play along with the click and with my friend singing. So let's jump in. So we're going to look at what a beautiful name, beautiful worship song that's been around for a few years and is still very popular and worth exploring here together. So for the C chord, I'm going to use what's called a C5 chord or a C no third chord, basically what I call open voicings. I'm leaving the third out, okay? The next chord is a G add 4, and that has the root third fifth, and the C is the add 4 of that chord, so it's got this beautiful dissonance in it. And then there's an A minor 7 with the C on top, G add 4 again, and then the F chord, still C on top. Then I play a C over E, a G add 4 again, A minor 7, G add 4, F. There. So one of the great skills you can develop as a player is to know with confidence the spelling of these chords and trust that that static note in your right hand is going to work through the whole progression. Now, sometimes your chord chart, especially, let's say this is the chart that may have come from the publisher, and they might not have included the G add 4 chord. I'm showing it that way because I want to be sure you can sort of define theoretically the reason that the C note works in the G chord. The G is spelled GBD, and adding the 4 has the C on top. So that's why, even though the chord chart doesn't say it, I many times will play the G add, the 5 chord, which is the G in the key of C. I'll play the add 4. And you can take that similar liberty yourself. And you might notice on some recordings that the guitar players often are adding the add 4 as well. So it's a beautiful color that's heard a lot in modern worship. So here comes my friend, and I'll play it through once. What a beautiful name it is. That's the C with no third. G add 4. The name of Jesus, A minor 7, G add 4. F, C over E. Pinky hasn't moved. A minor 7. And F for 2 bars. Now, another thing I want to show you as I play it again is the fact that one of the sounds that's almost ubiquitous, I think that's the right term, in modern worship is what we call pads, and that's something that might sound like this. Yeah, it's a beautiful droning effect. Now, listen to, I'm not going to play with the vocalist yet, but I'll play some of these chords while the drone is happening. Beautiful sound, and again, very common in modern worship. So this time I'm going to play along with my friend and have you listen to what the pad adds to the whole vibe, okay? So, let me get the right thing, there we go. So, from the top.
What a beautiful name it
C.
is.
I'll just let you listen.
Name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a beautiful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus.
Yeah. So there Static Voicings. Yeah, I was trying to stop that pad there. So try those. I'll tell you that there are two pitches that will probably work with this concept. The first note of the scale and the fifth note of the scale. I'm going to just look for a moment at see if I have any of you saying anything to me on YouTube, because I don't want to ignore your comments if you have. So, yeah. Okay, good. The first note of the fifth note of the scale, that's the C is the first note, G is the fifth note. So even though you can't quite see it the way I've laid out my screen, I'm just going to move that real quick. No, I'm not. But you can just hear it. So trust me, I'm keeping a G. It's right over there, right over there. And I'm going to keep the G on top and see how I can voice my chords. Here's the vocal.
Beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a beautiful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is. I
don't know what your reaction is, but I'm going to tell you mine when I finish. Now, one thing about that doesn't seem to work so well, friends, is the fact that this G is competing quite often with the pitches the vocalist is singing. So, my dear friend Carl Albrecht, hello Carl, in Nashville, great drummer, great friend, says that a great musician has big ears. One of the things you want to be listening to as a keyboard player or guitarist or string player who might be improvising live is generally, I try and avoid doubling or competing with the pitches that are being sung by the vocals. So in that regard, that's why I think having that G up in the soprano where my friend is singing doesn't quite work so well, as opposed to this. I'm going to just start the section again with the C on top.
Name it is. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus.
Yeah, subjective perhaps, but generally I think that's true of what we'll hear in recordings as well. So, as shocking as it is, I tend to go quite long on some of these lives sometime, but I just wanted to share that thought with you. It's a beautiful element, and one of the things you might want to consider as a keyboard player is making sure your arsenal of tools that you bring to your worship team is software like I use Sunday Keys. That's a wonderful church what would you say, pointed program that's very well thought out for church worship keyboard players. And it's got many options to play a pad and start a pad and change keys easily, and it's fantastic. Lots of great sounds as well. So if you have that pad sound, now one thing I will mention, in I think every example I've played so far, I've played a constant quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4. This time, I'm going to use the pad. I'll have my friends sing with me, and I'm only going to play the chords as they occur. I won't repeat any statement of a chord. So the first line of the chorus has a bar of C, 2, 3, then a bar of G. And the next measure has the first time 2 chords happen within a measure. So this time, it's going to be very sparse. And I like to use the 3 letters PTC for representing this sparse type of playing I'll be doing. That stands for play the changes. It means absolute minimum activity. And here's how that would sound. I'll start the pad again. By the way, this is one of the great things about using a pad as you're playing live. This sound, it's coming, because it fills the air constantly. If I play a sparse voicing like this, I didn't hit the G very well. Now I'm just going to mess with the song. I'm not going to play with my friends singing yet. So the A minor, and that's very sparse. I'm not repeating any chords. Now I'm just going to sit on this for a moment and I'll cue the singer.
What a beautiful name.
Here we go. No repeated chords.
The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a beautiful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful
2 chords per bar here.
The name of
And sparse again. Now, I'm going to quickly stop it and restart it. Let's say your congregation was going to sing that verse again. This time, I'm going to choose to play constant quarters.
What a beautiful
Here we go.
name it is. What a beautiful name it is. The name
Slightly more
of
movement,
Jesus
but
Christ.
still static note in my pinky right hand.
What a beautiful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus.
So, one of many things I could add to what I've told you so far, but when I'm playing that F chord just there at the end of the progression of the chorus, we're at 2 bars of F. I played an F and I went to the F2, which is, instead of playing the 3rd, I play the 2, or the note between the root and the 3rd. Yeah. So that little bit of melodic movement in my piano voicing rather than that static quarter notes of the chords. So recognize that just as you can add the 4 to the G major chord as the G add 4, anytime you see a C or a G or the F chord, it's the 1, 4, and 5 chords in your song, in the typical chord vocabulary we have for modern worship songs, but recognize that that too is a beautiful element to use when you're playing the 4 chord, or F, in the key of C. Now, I want to point out that this chord only has the root, the 2nd, and the 5th. Some people might put this in a chord chart as a F add 2, but I differ with that label because an F add 2 would imply that you could play both of those notes, and I prefer the more open sound. And I think that's what you'll hear on many recordings when you see that even if it's labeled F add 2, I find that sometimes charts aren't quite as specific as they could be. So that's my opinion about the F2, and I appreciate you watching. I'm going to show you something here. I am making time in my schedule, kind of opening up some windows of hours in my week to make it possible for me to coach keyboard players. So if you're interested in that, I've got my email on the screen now, ed@cartoons.com, and you can text me if you want, 360-981-6978. And I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to coach you some. And if you're interested in this but want to try, you can see the technology I've got. I can show you chord charts, I can show my keyboard from overhead, lots of tech stuff I can do, and I can play audio files that you can play along with me. But if you're interested in exploring lessons with me, I'd love to talk to you. Email me, text me, whatever. And we can set up a short little session where you can kind of see what it's like on your end to let me coach you some. So I would love to do that. And God bless you on your work as a worship team or a live musician, whatever it is you do. It's amazing to me how much possibility there is for each of us to make a song very much our own by the voicings we choose. So thanks for watching. God bless.